Welcome to Good Morning Football. We are here live in New York City. It is Wednesday, March 4th. I am Nate Burleson. That right there is Peter Schrager. And for the next few days, we will be keeping up with the Joneses. Yeah, because we have Anything is Kim Possible Jones joining us. How you doing,
I like
girl?
that. I like that. How are you guys?
Doing amazing.
Doing good.
Welcome to our
It's
show.
great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we got a great show, Schrags, don't we?
We do. Got a huge morning of guests. Look, the NFC champions had a bunch of running backs. One of them was named Jeff Wilson Jr. He's now a free agent. He's going to join us and take us through what this Niners magical season was like and what is up ahead for him. Also, Pro Bowl safety from the Houston Texans, a 16-year NFL vet. This guy played for the Colts, he played for the Broncos, played for the Panthers. He's a Patterson, New Jersey native, and now he's going to be joining us in the studio.
He's a free agent. I heard he had some big news for us.
Mike Adams might have some big news for us. He's also going to break down the top defensive prospects from the 2020 draft class. And lastly, there are football fans everywhere, including the track. Two-time IndyCar champion Joseph Newgarden joins us to talk a little football and a little rubbing his racing. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
I think so. Talk a little track, too.
Yeah.
I'm excited. We got a good show ahead.
And you two know better than anyone what is next. The lead.
Let's go.
Absolutely. The Brady Watch continues this morning as the six-time Super Bowl winning quarterback is approaching uncharted territory for the first time in his career. Free agency. During NFL Network's coverage of the Combine, our own Deion Sanders discussed where he thinks Tom Brady should land in 2020.
Okay, New England wants somebody with longevity. Am I right or wrong? That's the only reason you would discard Brady.
Right, but
And what does
Brady's
San
not
Fran want?
Brady's not under contract to New
But
England.
what does San Fran want?
To win.
Now, sign and trade.
Simple.
Sign and trade.
Well, if it's Garoppolo being traded somewhere, why do they have to trade him to New England?
Because New England needs a quarterback.
No,
needs a quarterback.
I'm aware of
They
that,
gotta
but I
have a
mean,
quarterback.
again, Brady could just sign with San
But it
Francisco right
wouldn't
off
make
his.
sense for San Francisco. Like, I'm just trying to do business, Rich. I'm just trying to make everybody happy. That's who I am. I'm Sanders Claus.
Sanders Claus. Well, Tom Brady has other ties to the Bay Area, guys, of course, not just his former backup, Jimmy Garoppolo. Peter, what do you think makes the most sense when you think about Tom Brady this season?
If I'm Tom Brady, and I'm not, clearly, I would really want to go play in San Francisco. Great defense, incredible coaching, young team, and they were a few passes away from being Super Bowl champions. You have to think, if you're Tom Brady, if I'm going to the West Coast, that's a more desirable place. But you've got to add in Tom Brady's life story. A lifelong 49ers fan. You go back through his childhood. This is a kid who was at the game, the catch. That's him at the catch. Remember,
Right.
1982
Brady?
NFC Championship game. That is Brady at the game. And, of course, for Halloween, what did he go as a kid? He went as Joe Montana for Halloween. This is a lifelong 49ers fan, grew up in the Bay Area, wanted to be drafted by the 49ers. They passed on him for Gio Carmazzi at a Hofstra, broke his heart, and now has spent 20 years in the NFL building a legacy in New England. It makes a lot of sense for Tom Brady to want to go and follow in the steps of his legend, Joe Montana, where he was his father and him season ticket holders his entire childhood. But if I look at the 49ers, I'm not sure it makes sense for them. And that's where this gets interesting. How could you say no to Tom Brady? Well, Kyle Shanahan's offense is kind of predicated on a lot of rollouts, a lot of play action, a lot of stuff outside the pocket. If you were to ask me for one game, who would I rather have in a Super Bowl, I'd probably say give me Brady over Garoppolo. But if I'm the 49ers, you got to think long and hard about this. Even if it's a possibility, even if there's speculation, I don't care if Tom Brady comes begging. You've got to think about the future. And I think Jimmy Garoppolo is a better person to have in that building for the next 10 years, next 5 years, than Tom Brady, even for the next 1 or 2. And I think this team is built to last. I would actually say I'd rather have Garoppolo than Brady for the long term.
I hear you on that, and I agree with you. I feel like Jimmy Garoppolo is the answer for the next decade or so. I mean, they definitely paid him for that. When it comes to Tom Brady playing for a year, I might take Tom Brady on every team for the next year. I mean, he's still good. He still can make every throw in the book. He's going to stick in the pocket and make throws that maybe Jimmy Garoppolo couldn't make in the Super Bowl. But when it comes to making sense, yeah, it makes football sense, but it doesn't make common sense. the most common sense place for Tom Brady to land is back in New England. Right. Tom Brady is a legend there, and I keep bringing up situations of players that have left their teams and have left their legacies. I bring up Michael Jordan when he left the Bulls and went to the Wizards. Even though he averaged 22 points, the team surrounding him, they weren't good enough. We're talking face maskless Rip Hamilton, Strags, I know you like that, and a young Kwame Brown. Roger Clemens, when he left, it took him 2 stops to go win a World Series. I mean, this happens more times than not. Even Peyton Manning had an unbelievable record-breaking year when he left the Colts. They didn't win a Super Bowl that season. So for me, going elsewhere, the grass is not always greener. If you think about the situation they're in, they have talent. Julian Edelman will forever be Tom Brady's best friend on the field. N'Keal Harry is still learning the ins and outs. They brought in Sanu. They still have a host of running backs. How about instead of trying to figure out what you're going to do with that first-round draft pick, you go get a wide receiver because this NFL draft is so deep with wide receivers.
The question was, where should Brady want to go? He was miserable in New England.
He should want to go back where his bread is buttered. Because why would you go elsewhere where the system might not fit you, the players might not fit your skill set, and you go where you're beloved, and that is New England?
Yeah, and guys, I think if Josh McDaniels had gotten a head coaching job this cycle, I could say, oh, well, maybe he could team up with McDaniels. That's his guy.
Right.
Knows him better than anyone. Everything would be new. Even if you go with your buddy Mike Vrabel, everything offensively there is new to you.
Exactly.
So I'm with you, and I've been with you, but I sometimes waver a little bit because of these reports we hear of everyone, including the Giants. We know that ain't happening. How's that? We know that one's not a go.
Yeah.
That one is not a go. Guys, let's stick with the quarterbacks, but look beyond free agency. Which quarterback with an uncertain future do you guys think is most intriguing this offseason?
I'll say Jameis Winston. And I remember during the season, I said, Jameis is balling, and Peter Strager almost slapped the coffee right out my hands. But he was. It's just that simultaneously, he was also throwing interceptions. And I get it. Listen, people will forever talk about the 30 for 30 like it's an ESPN documentary. But I want to talk about 2020. And I'm not just talking about the year we're in. I'm also talking about his vision. Because Jameis Winston, reports are that he got LASIK surgery. That means he's going to see a little bit better. We've seen the images and the still shots of him squinting on the sidelines. Listen, just speaking from firsthand perspective, I know what it's like to get glasses when you didn't think you need them. Things are a little bit clearer. And then on top of that, he fixed his thumb in his throwing hand. So Jameis Winston, I guarantee wherever he lands, he will be a better quarterback. And I saw that game at the end of the season where they played the Houston Texans at home. I was there in the building.
First pass was a pick six.
Yes, it was.
First pass was a pick six.
Right?
First pass is a pick six.
So what did you see?
What were you thinking then?
In the
what
last,
were you thinking in that moment? First pass, a pick six.
In the last pass of his season was a pick six, right? Am I correct in that? I was thinking, no way, not again. But I will say this: the passes weren't thrown to the wrong receiver. They were just slightly off. So I feel like with that hand and with his eyes being fixed, that slightly off could be right on target, and he'll have an unbelievable year.
I love that glass half full answer. I love it. I love it, Nate.
Hypothetical. Say Tampa doesn't re-sign him. They don't franchise him.
Right.
Do you think Jameis Winston is a starting quarterback in the NFL next season?
I don't think he's going to come in being handed the keys of any organization. I do feel like he'll come in and have to compete and prove that he's better than whoever's there. The question is, what team has a quarterback that they would allow somebody to come in and challenge him? Are we thinking like a Chicago Bears where Richard Trubisky needs to be pushed?
Sure.
There needs to be a quarterback that we're not quite sure of that needs that push, and you're okay if he loses his position.
I look at Teddy Bridgewater, who to me is the complete opposite, the polar opposite of Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston is this big-armed guy who's going to throw a lot of interceptions. He's going to win you some games, but he's also going to hurt you at times. Teddy might not have the arm or the cannon of Winston, but he just wins games. And it's a lot of ball control, but it's also a lot of leadership. And if I'm Tampa Bay specifically, if Jameis walks out that door, I'm really intrigued by Teddy, because what Teddy brings is a maturity, a leadership, and a ability to run your team where you're not going to lose games because of Teddy Bridgewater. Went 5-0 last year for the New Orleans Saints. And of course now everyone's saying, is he a starter? Is he a backup? Is he a top 10 quarterback? I believe Teddy Bridgewater deserves a chance to start in this NFL again, and I think Tampa Bay would actually make a lot of sense if they move on from Jameis.
I think we all want him to get that chance after being finally healthy and everything from that horrific injury. Guys, selfishly, I'm taking Phillip Rivers.
Go for it.
Eli's coaching his daughter Ava's basketball team, or helping to, as he told us. We know that Ben's coming off elbow surgery. For completely selfish reasons, I'm curious where that guy still has a big arm goes in Phillip Rivers. I covered that 2004 draft. It seems much more closer to yesterday than as many years that it's been, but I want to see where Phillip ends up for his second act, which may be a short one, but I hope it's successful.
All the
for his
talk,
sake.
all the talk was Indy. Does that make sense to you, Kim?
It does, I think, right? And hey, I'll tell you that what. You're an older quarterback. You need protection.
Best
They
offensive
got
line,
it.
right?
They got it. And Quentin Nelson, as we know, leads the way.
You're right about that. Listen, don't you guys go anywhere. We have one hell of a show for you. Here's a question for you. Will a new head coach mean success for this power couple here in New York City? Peter, you talked to this new head coach, right?
Joe Judge?
How did you feel about Joe?
Good man.
Good man.
I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah, me neither. And listen, and if you watch the Combine, Jamal Adams, he had a whole list of free agents that he wanted to come to the Jets. It's free agent season, but it's also recruiting season. The question, will they actually land here in New York? We'll break it all down.
Good job.